Esteemed Nobel Laureates, ladies and gentlemen, friends, you are all most welcome this morning to Stockholm. On behalf of the Nobel Foundation and Nobel Media, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to this year's Nobel Week Dialogue, with the theme, Your Plate, Our Planet. The Nobel Week Dialogue started in 2012 as a day of lectures and panels discussions scheduled for the day before the Nobel Day. Our objective is to create a series of thought-provoking sessions and working groups on a topical science-related theme. This will be a day filled with stimulating discussions about the future of food, bringing together distinguished laureates, leading scientists and expert key opinion leaders, policymakers, and all other interested parties, not least many students, only online as well as on site here in Stockholm. The meeting is free and is open, and it's available for everyone in the whole world. With Nobel Week Dialogue, we aim to deepen the dialogue between the scientific community and the rest of society, something which is deeply needed today, on issues that are important to the world, often with strong connections to the Nobel Prize. With Nobel Week Dialogue, science meets society. Nobel Week Dialogue is also an important part of activities that we have been developing over the last 20 years to inspire learning, reflection, and innovation in the spirit of the Nobel Prize. Interest in taking part in the world represented by the Nobel Prize is huge. To meet a growing thirst for knowledge and curiosity, not least among young people, we are very pleased that the new Nobel Center is about to take shape here in Stockholm. It will be a place for telling the fascinating stories about the Nobel laureates and their discoveries. But it will also be a global platform for education, for knowledge, for critical thinking at its heart, where the major challenges of tomorrow and today will be discussed. Here we will develop content that we believe will conquer the whole world. It will be our base camp. It is my strong hope and belief that within a few years we will be able to arrange meetings, and many meetings of the kind of the Nobel Week Dialogue in the Nobel Center. I am among those who grew up during the optimistic 1950s, when everything was possible. To a boy like me in idyllic Sweden, which had been spared the last two wars, the world could only get better. For a long time, it actually also did. Living standards improved, education spread to more and more people, while science and research made major breakthroughs. Of course, not everything was rosy. We lived under the threat of a nuclear war, which was much more present than it is today. And in the memories of everybody in my generation, the Cuban Missile Crisis in the early 60s is as clear as 9/11. But when the Berlin Wall fell, threats diminished while democracy spread, and new countries like China opened up economically. Prosperity grew and fewer people went hungry. Many things went right for a decade or so. Today, things are different, really different. Tensions have increased again in various ways. While living standards have increased for many people in developing countries, in the rich countries, large groups have indeed fallen behind. Both new and old democracies have proved fragile, much more fragile than most of us thought. We also face global challenges: climate change, growing terrorism, and wars in far too many places around the world, with horrible consequences in the form of death, famine, and enormous refugee flows. Also, we are seeing how cross-border cooperation and transparency are being criticized, and how science and research for knowledge is being questioned. Well, even facts are refuted times and again. Leading politicians are gaining support by appealing to people's worst sides. In times like this, the Nobel Prize is of vital importance. More vital importance, I think, than it has ever been, at least during my lifetime. Alfred Nobel knew that good role models, people and organizations, can show that it's possible to understand the world and to improve the world, not least, and that we can take on the biggest challenges on our era and move forward. That was very much the idea behind this prize. Today, our dialogue is about the global food supply and the challenges it is associated with. Your plate, our planet. Although poverty has decreased, as I said before, hunger is far from eliminated. How will we be able to feed 9 billion people that we will soon be? What does healthy eating mean? And what role does meals play in our life? What will technology put on our plates in the future? What does all this imply for our environment and in the end for the world, for the earth? We will touch upon what each of us can do, what responsibilities we as individuals have, but also of what kind of political solution the world needs and how we can join forces to make them a reality. Dear Nobel laureates, ladies and gentlemen, friends, I'm sure that this will be a fascinating and important day. The previous Nobel Week Dialogues that we've had in Stockholm and Gothenburg has certainly turned out that way. Thank you for listening, and once again, you are all most welcome to Nobel Week Dialogue. Thank you.